You don't have to do that, Mom. Not necessary. Okay? Hey, Kia. How are you guys doing? Everybody's good? What's going on here? What's in the box? Okay. How's it going out there in the Midwest, Kia? How's the weather? I'm just gonna wait for maybe a couple more people that come in. We'll see. We'll see. It's pretty warm here. I mean, I should say pretty warm. It's mild, if you will. It's super mild. My throat is super dry today, like super duper dry. I do not understand why. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. We're gonna wait just to see if a few more people pop in. I know it is spring break, so a lot of people are out of town with the kiddos and things like that, those that have kids. Kia, you're not on spring break? I'm interested to know. So yeah, anyway, today we're going to talk to Holly Osterman, which I'm super excited about. Holly has had two platforms. One is Empart and one is Menopause Chit Chat, and she's going to give us a little bit of background on how she got there into helping women with things around the midlife, if you will, menopause being kind of the focus. And then we're going to talk about her menopause journey. So we'll bring her in in a few moments here. Oh, okay. Did you get okay? All right. So I guess it was last week, and then in Atlanta now, it is everybody's on spring break. It looks like Kia. So yeah, it's. I mean, traffic is so light, and traffic here is like hell on earth, and it's not this week. It's such a pleasure. You can drive, you can go where you need to, and something that is 10 minutes doesn't take 45. So it's absolutely wonderful. We will all dread it. Come Friday, it will be rough. Friday, they'll start coming back, and then by Monday, it's just back to disaster again. So what do you do with that? Anywho's, so yeah, it's kind of nice not having, like, hearing the school bus, like, super early in the morning. Just saying. Like, and hearing all the cars, like, racing back and forth very early in the morning. It's absolutely ridiculous. Hello, Pure Lux Salon. Thanks for joining. Okay, let's, hello, Aligned AF. How are you? That is a special young woman right there. Yes, yes, yes. Go follow her, everybody. Run over. Please run over and follow her immediately, like now, right? Matter of fact, I should probably do a whole live about that. But anywho's, so I would like to take a vacation. Speaking of spring break, that would be kind of nice. But we're out here working. Okay, I think we're going to bring Holly in now. Let's do that. Dun, 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 dun. Did I do it? Dun, 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 dun. Hold on, I'm trying to do it. Oh, gee. Why is it such a thing? Like getting people in, like pushing the button, guys. Why is this such a problem? Hold on, Holly. I'm trying to get you. Um, Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. Okay, let's do it again. Holly, I'm trying. Think I got it. Stays hating on the flow. Exactly. Sheesh. It's like, what is the problem? I'm like, all right. Getting very annoyed now. I truly feel like the like 50 plus person that like hates technology. Holly, do you see me as accepting you? All right, guys. I'm getting very annoyed right now. Let me just try to okay. I just sent you an invitation, Holly. Let's see. I just sent you an invitation. It's saying you're unable to join. Hey, hey Joss.
Holy, there she is.
Everybody, Holly is here with
It
us.
just took a minute. We're
We're
fine.
fine. We're fine. Hey, Melissa. Hey, Jocelyn. Hi. Hey, Ash. Um, Anywho's, this is Holly Osterman, everybody. Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome to the shiftHER platform. I'm so glad that you joined.
I'm so excited to be here. I'm really glad that this happened so quickly and we got to know each other and connect. This is so much fun.
So much fun. So quickly, guys, let me tell you how Holly and I met. So Holly came through the DMs. I don't know how, I was a little nervous about responding because people, when they slip into the DMs, you don't know what's happening, right? So I checked her out. I went on LinkedIn. I literally backed into it. And I was like, oh, this is nice. And she's like, I love your platform. This is great, whatever. And so long of the short is, she's like, let's connect. I'm like, sure. We did a Zoom. We chatted it out. We're like team menopause. I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. So I was like, jump on live with me. Let's talk about it. Because Holly, get me straight on this.
Yes.
Holly has an amazing platform, right? So there's Empart, and then
Correct.
Menopause Chit Chat was the platform that you moved from, correct?
Correct. Yes, exactly.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, back in 2009, I started to feel really funky. And I thought, something just isn't right. I was getting migraine headaches. I've never gotten migraines before. And I just wasn't feeling like myself. And I did all the right things. I went to my doctor. I talked about what was going on. And she's like, you know what? You probably starting to go through perimenopause. Don't worry about it. Everybody does it. This is what's going to happen. And
don't worry. Don't worry.
Don't worry. And you don't think to ask questions because you don't know what to ask, which
right. That
is part of the problem.
Part of the problem.
You're like, okay, if they're saying that this is going to be okay, I'm going to be okay. Well, it wasn't okay. And, our what's the first thing you do? You go to Google and you start figuring out what's going on.
Correct.
Well, while it's not that long ago, 2009 is not that long ago, there wasn't a lot out there. So just like what any normal person would do, I'm like, I am going to start a community for women in menopause.
Wow.
And because I need to ask some questions. I want to know, is anybody else feeling the way that I'm feeling? Is this normal? And so that's how Menopause Chit Chat came about. And it was a really good experience. It started off really slow at first. And it just, I didn't know if I was doing the right thing, if I was asking the right questions. And then one day I just said, I put up a post and I'm like, tell me your story. What is happening to whomever is out there? share with me what's going on. And it just went from there. And at one point, we were up to 10,000 members. There's just a lot of women curious about menopause.
Right, right, right. And that, I mean, to build a community like that, like 10,000 strong, is not an easy thing to do, but it shows how menopause is like binding with women.
Yes.
Like once you find out that somebody's talking about it, you're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, let me hear about it. Yeah. You're like, huh? Like stop in your tracks. Hi, Agatha.
Well, I think that's how I found you when I saw on Instagram. I'm like, oh, I got one. So
there's another one. Right, right, right. And I mean, I feel like, I mean, that was my driver with shiftHER. I was like, wait a minute, I'm pretty astute when it comes to matters of healthcare and pretty astute to my own health, right?
Yeah.
So I thought. And when my symptoms started happening, I was like, I wasn't even thinking menopause.
No.
Like I was like, something is wrong with me. I am dying. And if anybody who knows me knows that my younger sister died from lung cancer.
Oh.
So I was in her 30s, right? So I was very like, well, what's wrong with me?
You were vigilant. You were on the lookout for something to go.
Right. Yeah. Doctor after doctor after doctor. There you're in pitch perfect health. I'm like, why have I gained 50 pounds then?
Yeah.
Like that just is weird. Nothing has changed. I'm still working out the same. I'm still eating the same. Like, what's happening here? Like,
yes,
this is not right. So like you, like I get it. So, but it's interesting how the first thing you decided to do was start a platform.
Like, who's out there?
Let's just get some people together and let's talk about menopause.
Well,
so
you know what I think part of it was, and I think you could probably relate to this. Our moms don't talk about menopause.
And correct. I listen, I told you this,
yes.
that I said to my mother, I said, Mom, like, how did you not tell me? Like, why did you not tell me that this was this? And she just looked at me because she just adores me. My mother is on right now because she cannot miss anything that I do. All right. See, there's that. And she was just like, I just thought that, you would know. Interestingly enough, she went to the library. She said when she went into menopause, of course, there was no conversation at all.
No.
Right. And so, of course, she knew she wasn't going to get anything from her doctor. So she went to the library and there was one book. One. Am I telling that story right, Mom? Chime in. Right. But I'm just saying, like, that's crazy. Right. And here we are in 2024 and all we're talking about is menopause. Like, that's the conversation.
Okay. But we're here in 2024 and we're still looking for answers.
Well, there's that. There's that. We're still looking for, okay, what do we do? Is hormone replacement the only option? Like, and though, I'm team hormone. Like,
yes.
Look, once I realized that I did have options, I was like, I'm going for the pharmacological one. On this, nothing else will I do that with. With this, I was like, it was too much for me. So, okay, so we're going to get into it. So that was Menopause Chit Chat. Empart is your newest platform now that you're rebuilding again.
Yes. And let me tell you, that was not an easy thing to do because, I had felt that Menopause Chit Chat was like my baby and it felt successful and we had all these members. And to think about starting over, it felt like a punch to the gut. But, some of those conversations were 10, 12 years old.
Right.
And I knew that it was time for change. I had to move on. But that's also, so last year is when I moved to Menopause Chit Chat to join Empart. And in doing so, I felt I couldn't walk away from that old community and all those conversations and all of that wisdom. And that's where, last year I decided to publish a book and take the best of those conversations
and all of that
wisdom, because I couldn't leave it behind. And but I just, when time is right, and things have to change and you have to move on. And so that's where the book came from, and that's where the new platform has come from. And because I still feel that the most important thing in all of this, and I feel that what I was missing the most, and sometimes I feel like maybe I'm getting a little emotional about it, but um, women, all women need to feel seen, they need to feel heard, and they need to feel understood. And I don't know why we are still struggling with that. Why? I don't know.
You and I had this conversation, right? Like, it's just, we are on the same page. One, I'm tabling the book because I want to get to that. I want to unpack that book thing,
Yeah.
right? But I talk to friends in my circle. I honestly, everybody in my circle is very well educated. Like, and there's still questions, there's still fear, there's still anxiety around,
Yes.
etc. And like, we had Agatha Chindu is on now, and she wrote a book called Bountiful Cooking, and she has never taken any medication whatsoever. She is 57 years old. She's in perfect health, not even a cavity as she says it. And she has not had any menopause symptoms whatsoever. Zero, nada, right? And she attributes that to eating a very balanced and whole foods diet,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that is really one way to look at, like, I am for anything that is going to empower people with information,
Yes.
right? So that's
Yes.
one way to look at it. Like, start at the diet, right? Like, what are you eating that could amplify, because we do know sugar will
Yes.
amplify
But
these
sugar is everywhere. Everywhere.
everywhere, everywhere, right? So, but again, that's an option. Like, you've got to look at everything. Like,
Yes.
when you're looking at yourself and you're saying, how, if I don't want to take a pharmacological option, how can I navigate through this without pain, right? Without, a tremendous amount of symptoms. So I think, like, per your point, it's all about empowering women, right? Yes, diet, sleep, rest are
Yes.
super important, Agatha. Exactly. Right.
But see,
And
I think that's part of the problem also, is that not everybody has the same tools, right?
correct.
And you and your friends and everyone are very well in tune as to what's going on. You have a lot of resources.
Correct.
But there are so many women. Not only do they not have those resources, they might not have the doctors, but also even access to any type of medication.
How about that?
Like that's just.
Well, what's interesting is that so I chose I use compounded hormones, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it costs exactly. Yes, Agatha. Not everybody has the same tools or same experiences. Absolutely. And but I chose the compounded pharmacy, which is quite pricey,
Yeah.
right? But what I found out was that estradiol is like $5.
Oh, see.
Estradiol is
But who?
$5. And estradiol is estradiol.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So an estradiol, everybody, is part of the trifecta in the hormones: estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone, right? Which I take all three because I need all three to keep this
Mm-hmm.
thing in place. Okay. It's why I sleep so well, quite frankly, because that progesterone will sing you a lullaby. Okay. If anybody knows, raise your hand. Progesterone will take you all the way out and you will sleep. That's why I sleep 7 to 9 hours a night.
I'm
Okay.
jealous.
And we'll get to that. So we'll get to that. But yes, everybody's not the same, right? And we have to acknowledge that. And everything that's offered is not for everybody, right? Most people I know don't take any hormones. I just didn't want to suffer. I didn't
Right.
want to be hot, sweating, the dryness all over my body. Well, I do put like castor oil. I lather my body with castor oil because I hate, my skin is so dry. But like, I didn't want to deal with all the symptoms because it became so overwhelming for me. Right. So we're there.
Yeah.
Let's lead into your menopause journey, because I promise you, when I heard it, I was like, yikes.
Yes.
If you care
Yeah.
to
Well.
share,
Oh,
if you feel comfortable sharing that.
absolutely. I think the thing that you don't most women aren't prepared for is that menopause is going to creep into your life in the worst possible moments. And, I won't go into too many details, but let me tell you, it can it can surprise you. It can surprise you when you're at work, you're uh, grocery shopping, you are driving your kids to school, and there are things that happen, and most women probably know where I'm going with this, that no matter how prepared you are never this prepared. And like it could really, really take you by surprise. And when you're not at home, when you're out in the world and you're in an environment where you have to be professional, you have to, pull it together really quickly. Menopause doesn't always allow for those things to happen. And just like when you were a young girl in school and your mom is always like, make sure you have extra things in your little purse and your, tampons or Kotex, and
Correct.
talk about things women didn't talk about before.
Correct.
You know, that doesn't go away with menopause, and you don't know when the end is until the end is, and
if you don't know what's happening, if you don't
know what's happening,
you don't know it's time,
right?
And you're thinking some time has gone by, and then here we go, we're having a period in the middle of everything. It's like, wait, what?
This hasn't happened for 6 months, and you mean to tell me while I'm sitting here in this meeting, it's going to happen right now?
Literally having a situation.
Yes.
And all the women on here know a situation.
Okay?
When that period comes and you didn't expect it to come. Yeah. All right.
What are you supposed to do with that?
I don't know.
And
have
you look around the room, and hopefully you have a female friend close by where you're going to be like, excuse me, you're going to need to help me with this situation because I'm not going to be able to leave this room. And so that's kind of how it started for me, and it was really a really bad spot to be in. And I don't know that I could have done anything different that day to be more prepared. When you are without a period for 6-8 months, you're like, I think I'm in the home stretch. You're not. But there's no way to know that you're not.
There's no way to know.
I just wish there was
the warning signs.
There was a warning sign or a game plan or something and that's why I don't think, here's the thing. When I first started talking about menopause, and I started a blog and a community, and I thought, well, women are going to want to talk about this, right? Wrong. Because I did go to conferences and, talk to other women that were blogging and getting into that space. And I thought, and then they ask, well, what's your blog about? I'd be like, well, it's about, women in menopause. And let me tell you, nothing shuts down a conversation faster than bringing up menopause.
Now, what year was that?
Gosh, if I started in 2009, I'd say it was probably maybe like 2012, 2014. Okay. So, I mean, not that incredibly long ago where you would, come on, it's the 2000s.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? And so there were many times where I thought I needed to just mind my own business and move on, because maybe it was just my problem if other women weren't willing to talk about it. And I'm not talking to women that weren't my age. Like, these are women that were in that space, and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. So there were many times where I kind of felt like I should just give up. Like, this isn't. But then I realized, based on, issues that I had, and just kind of those circumstances that women need to know. And it's not just for women that are here right now that are in their 50s or, late 40s. It's the women that are in their 30s. You need to just educate yourself. Don't let it freak you out. Talk to your doctor ahead of time. Find people that are going to be in your, that you can have in your space there and be like, yeah, I get it. And even friends of mine didn't really want to talk about it. They're like, yeah, it's fine. I might have a hot flash. I don't know if I had a hot flash. I don't know if I'm going through menopause. And I'm like, okay, well, can't just be me because I know that this is happening.
And also, you know when you have a hot flash. Like let's
Yes, you do.
let's just keep it, everybody get on the same page here. Anybody who's on right now, you know when you have a hot flash. It is
Yes.
something that you have never experienced before. It is very unique in how it feels. It's not just getting hot,
No.
right? We have, I mean, like it is a full on, you're radiating heat. I mean, it's just not
No.
normal. Like it's
It's
not
not
meaning
normal.
normal from the perspective that the feeling just is like crazy, right? So you know when you're sleeping at night and you wake up and the bed is wet,
Yes.
right? Because you're just sweating profusely. Like that's unique. So
And
no,
also
I
that
don't know.
it just, things don't just end when you don't have, your period anymore. My poor husband sleeps in the middle of a freezer because I've got windows open. I'm in Chicago. I mean, it's snowing today.
What?
I will have the window open. I will have the fan on, and this poor man is like under the blankets. Holly, can you
My husband
just no?
asks every morning, can I just take the chill off the house? Like,
You're like,
I'm serious. I'm like, you're asking a lot of me. You're asking a whole lot of me. Like, and thankfully I don't have the symptoms anymore, but I still run warmer. I run warm
yeah,
right now, right? Which I never did before. I do run warm. So especially at night, but I don't have the, the night sweats and all that anymore. Larika, you're absolutely, what a great question. Larika says, why is it such a taboo topic when it's such a natural progression of life? And people have been doing it since Jesus was a boy.
yeah.
So I don't understand why. And before that, right? I don't
I don't
understand. Like it just doesn't.
understand either.
And you talking to it when you talk to a doctor, it's like their eyes just are like glazed over,
Right?
right?
They're
Like
thinking,
what?
oh, do we have to go here? Can't you just figure it out?
It's weird, weird, weird. You're absolutely correct, Larika. It's just, and every woman is going to go through it.
Yeah.
Like it's not like so. My big question of the day is, what exactly are they doing when women come to them and ask and or like, I'm not feeling well. I mean, literally, I saw a cardiologist. I went to my primary, a cardiologist, a pulmonologist because I was having so many issues.
Yes.
Okay. Went back to my primary for her to tell me, and this is when we broke up, when she said to me, you know what, you're extremely high strung. And I really feel like I need to give you a referral to a psychologist. Well,
Oh,
my issue was that might be true,
yeah.
right? But not about this, I'm not, right?
Yeah.
So it just doesn't make any sense per your point. Like it just, oh,
Well,
thank
but
you,
that's the
Larika.
scary thing about, and this was, it wasn't that long ago. It was only a few months ago. And I'll tell you this story because I think,
Yes, please.
we just have to I thought I was having a heart attack. I was sitting with my husband. Nothing stressful was going on. It was a lovely afternoon. We were just talking about, whatever you talk about. And I'm sitting there and he's looking at me. He's like, are you okay? And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm having a heart attack. And he's like, okay, what do we do? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but like I feel this awful pain in my chest is shooting right through my body. I've never felt this way before. I don't know what the problem is. So we did end up going in the emergency room, and of course I had a doctor that was,
Yep.
looked like a baby, and nothing against the doctor, but I'm looking at me and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, you're not going to understand what is happening right here in
Doogie
this moment.
Doogie
Yeah,
Howser,
right. And he's like, yeah,
Sean Murphy.
we're talking about things, and they hook you up to everything. And he's like, I don't think it's your heart, and I'm like, probably not, probably not. Now that I'm here, and but then the same with you. I did all the. He's like, let's follow through. Go to your doctor. I went and had a stress
Stress
test.
test.
And they're like, you're fine. Your heart's fine. I'm like, yep. Maybe it's anxiety. Maybe you've got a lot going on in your life. Who doesn't have a lot going on in their life? Tell me one woman who's in their 50s does not have a lot going on in their life.
And let's do this. Let's back that up. Like, honestly, if you're a grown up, if you're an adult woman,
yes.
So whether you're honestly in your 20s and you're dating and doing all this other business, going to school, whatever, trying to get a job, etc., there's that, right? Then you're in your 30s and maybe you did get married. And I mean, there's always, it's like from every shift,
yes,
every shift is bringing something, right? And yeah, and speaking of the heart, so you are, I mean, heart disease is the number one killer of women.
yes.
So does it not make sense that because menopause amps that up, like heart disease up, right? When you're in menopause,
right.
like your risks are so much higher. And so that's why I'm so hypersensitive to anything related, to my heart, because I'm
Yes.
like, it's scary. It's just scary.
It's
Is all
scary.
that.
And
But
I think, too, is because you've heard those stories, or you even in your own life, you've known someone who seemingly healthy person, and all of a sudden they're not there anymore because your heart doesn't give off warning signals that ahead of time.
well,
In a
so
lot of cases, it
it
doesn't.
doesn't. No,
And then
no,
all of a
no.
sudden,
Well, so I have a theory about that. So I believe, this is Stacy, that the body always gives signals. We're not aligning them to,
yeah,
because
yeah,
women are notorious for, oh no, I've got something to do. I'm not going to worry about that. Oh, it's probably just this. I'm not going to worry about it. I am willing to bet the ranch
yeah,
that every woman that you know in your circle, that is exactly what happens. We do not put ourselves first. There is
no,
no us first, right? And I'm blessed because my husband's the type of guy that's like, listen, you don't have to cook. You don't have to, don't look. It's not important to me. Like the all these things that you think are important around here,
yeah,
not. We got somebody to come clean. Somebody can cook. So I mean, like somebody can do the laundry. I mean, there's all kinds of things. If you cannot do it, if you feel like you don't want to do it or can't do it, then don't.
yeah,
Right? You come first. So interestingly enough, he will put me first, right? Sometimes before I will put myself first, right? Which is,
right. Isn't that crazy though?
well,
Because he's looking at you thinking, oh, Stacy needs some help today.
right, well, no, no,
Just a,
no.
a little bit
Well,
of
wait.
space.
Wait. He's not, well, I shouldn't say that he doesn't think that I need help. His thing is that overall, the things that I think are important are not, right?
Oh,
Especially as
yeah,
it relates to things around our home, right? He's like, everybody can do for themselves. Why do you feel like it has to be you? It doesn't, right?
right.
So he doesn't think like if I'm doing something, let me help, because he's just gonna let me play that out. And then when I get upset, he looks at me like, why are you getting upset? You did it. You see what I'm saying? Like, so it's that.
Yes,
But
yes.
I'm lucky to have somebody that's not like, you better do this, you need to do that, or whatever. Agatha says your body is constantly giving signals that something is wrong, including hot flashes. Right. But hot flashes are something that are good. Those vasomotor signals, right? Usually they're going to happen. Everybody's
Yeah,
different. Some people don't have them, like Agatha didn't have them, right? So again, those signals that you're going through something, your body's telling you, okay, we're losing estrogen, okay, we're losing this, we're losing that. And I just think it's important to pay attention, right?
yeah, but
Like,
I don't think that women always do. You're right. I
no,
don't think we do.
no,
There's
but
a million other things on that to-do list that come first, and unfortunately, we tend to be at the bottom of that list.
right. And I think that's part of how we're, you know, as we age, sometimes we're not as well as we should be,
Yeah,
right? Because we're not focusing on ourselves. All right. So as you were going through this process, because again, I say that hearing your story was just, I was really moved by it, because you went to the doctor, she told you it's fine,
it's
don't
fine.
worry about it.
Yeah,
You practically lose half of the blood in your body at one time. Like, that's crazy. And then here you are thinking that what's happening to me,
Yeah.
right? Like this is going way in a very different direction than I thought it should.
Right. And so, it's not for that I didn't look for solutions, but when none are presented to you as a woman, I just kind of assumed, okay, I'm just going to have to get through this. And, you know, it wasn't always easy, Stacy. Like there are, I'm now looking back because I can look back on my life and be like, oh, there were periods where you're just not yourself, and people around you recognize that, but you are so stuck in this little place that feels like you're not going to get out of it, and it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's the other part of menopause that goes unnoticed, is that it's not just the physical part of it, which is really challenging in itself. There's a lot of like mental and emotional things that go along with it. And um and if you think that a doctor isn't going to address a physical change in your body, the first thing they want to do when you go in there and you're starting to act for all intents and purposes probably a little nutty. I'm sure I sounded a little nutty at times. They want to slide a prescription across the table and say, here, try that. But it doesn't address the root of these problems.
It doesn't address the root of these problems. And I think you're 100% right about the mental health piece. I think we all, we don't look at it. It's scary to look at. I mean, and just to be very transparent, the other day, I was about to leave for the gym and I don't know what came over me. I literally was like, well, I walked into the bathroom. He was getting ready for a meeting. And I said, you be careful today. And he's like, why are you looking at me like that? Like my eyes were
Yeah.
welling up. And then all of a sudden I just became almost hysterical. And he was like, I'm okay. And I'm like, I know you're okay, but I want you to be careful because you never know. And he was just like, Stace, we don't live that way.
Right.
That's not how we move, right? Like,
Right.
but I mean, he was like, come here, let me hug you. Like I was just done. And then I got in the car and it went away.
But
But that
what was that?
I
What
don't
was
know.
that?
Well, I attribute everything to menopause.
Yeah.
So listen, if I cut my hand, I'm like, look, it won't heal because I'm in menopause. Like it's that, right? Like so, but I feel like it just came over me. It was just like it washed. Like I was just like when I got in the car and went to the gym.
But previously, you haven't been that kind of person where you're that like emotional or that.
Maybe I'm a crier,
Oh,
so
I'm a crier too. Oh my
oh,
gosh. Like I think if crying
I'm a
were an
crier.
Olympic sport,
Yes.
I would be a gold medalist for sure.
Listen, I mean, when I my friend Kia, who was on here early, I've known her since we're 18 years old, and we reconnected for the first time. We reconnected recently, and when I got home after seeing her, I was a bucket of tears, like a bucket, because I was just so happy because
Yeah.
she is like my person, right? Even now, it makes me misty because to have her back is such a big deal. But so menopause probably amplifies that,
Yes. Yes.
right? Menopause, menopause amplifies that. Um, but okay, so you're going through this journey. You're seeing doctors, but again, so you haven't had any treatment,
No, nothing.
right? You
But
you
nothing
might be
was
struggling a
offered.
bit.
And if nothing's offered, to be quite honest, I feel it hasn't been until the last couple of years, and now it's still even great that women even feel that there's something that they could ask for. Um, that whole kind of debacle with hormone replacement and freaking
Study.
people out and thinking you're going to get breast cancer and every other thing under the sun was so completely unfair to women, because even if that isn't the road that you wanted to go down, I think just knowing that maybe you had a choice or an option or something that can just lighten the load a a little bit.
Lighten the load a
So yeah,
little bit.
that's I take anything? No. Did I know to ask for anything? No. I just thought, this is a place that I'm gonna pass through, and hopefully I'm gonna make it out to the other side. But there's still things that come up, like
What?
weight gain. Nobody talks to you about that. They're Mediterranean diet, eat more fruits and vegetables, have a health. Like if it were that easy, trust me, I get it. I understand how to eat well, but I could eat a bowl of lettuce and a carrot, and the next day I could be 3 pounds heavier.
You know
So
what? And that's what happened. Again, that's what happened to me, right? And I
mhm.
think that understand nutrition is not as, especially at this phase, right? It's not that complicated. Like I did keto for years, and that's when I was in the best shape of my
Yeah,
life. And I did a clean keto, best shape of my life. And when menopause came,
didn't
out the window.
matter.
It didn't work. Like, I mean, did not work at all. Like, I mean, had no ketosis, mitosis, whatever. Nope. It just did not work. So I had to figure something out. And now I'm in a new rhythm. So again, I think it's not an easy thing to do to kind of get in tune with yourself, like to really lock in, right? And
Yeah,
listen to your body and how your body responds. And that's the encouragement I give women, right? Lock into yourself.
yeah,
Like don't pay attention to all the other stuff. Lock into you, right? If your body does not respond well to broccoli, then move to kale. Like seriously. Like
yes,
it to me, that's how I move. If something does I don't do well with gluten, right? I, I'm not allergic to it, etc. But it doesn't sit well
hmm
necessarily in my gut, right? So guess what? That's done, right? It doesn't mean that I can't eat it. It just doesn't work for me,
right,
right? And I think that
right.
bottom line is menopause, perimenopause, menopause, life. We got to lock into ourselves, right?
Yes,
And do what's best for us. Per your point, like somebody you look to these practitioners
hmm
for assistance and help, right? And guidance, some guidance.
yeah,
And just saying, my friend April says, yes, the weight gain. Right. And Agatha said, here is why what you are doing is priceless. Thank you, Agatha. I appreciate that. Um, you just have to take it like we talked about, one day at a time, right? Like, because that's how you figure out what works for you. So it's
yes.
like one day, like I drink about 100 ounces of water a day, right? And
And take notes. The one thing I would suggest, if you take notes, like write that down. Today, this is what happened. This is what I felt, and this is what I ate. This is how I exercised, and you're gonna see a pattern there. You something will jump out at you. Maybe it's the broccoli.
right. Larika, that's a good. Larika said, do you find that doctors get offended when you request treatments they didn't suggest first? Mm.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yes. Because I think they sometimes feel that maybe you're doing their job for them, or
Well, and
that they know better.
let's not also forget some of them don't know.
No,
So
but that's a sad thing. That's the sad part, is that there isn't that type of emphasis on education when it comes to female health. That's a
April
sad
said, what did you say?
thing.
You said yes, they do. April said yes, they do. Yeah, I mean, again, like I told you, everybody knows I subscribe to functional medicine. That's how I live my life as it relates to dealing with medical practitioners. And I go in with a list. I heard this. This is what somebody told me. This supplement, this,
Yeah,
whatever it is. And we go down the list and they're like, that's good. That works. No, etc. Like that environment to me, that's all. That's what I need. I
yeah.
don't need you taking offense. Like it's silly. It's so silly. It just doesn't make any sense. You're here to help people. And
Um,
there's no help going
how many
on.
doctors though have you, over like your adult life, have you met or
Oh my
visited?
God. I will tell you, in my adult life, I've probably seen more doctors now, like in the last 7 years,
Yeah.
than I've ever in my life. Right. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and now that I am taking notes, what I thought was good back 7 years ago, like, I'm like, what, this person served me no, like, did nothing for me.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I realized that, like, when I showed up with, my blood pressure was literally stroke level. Like, one Sunday, I mean, I was shaking. It was the whole thing. And my husband was like, we're going to the emergency room. I'm like, I'm not going there. This was during COVID. I was like, I'm not going there. I don't care what's happening. Okay. And I just calmed myself down. I started drinking a lot of water, whatever. I found a doctor, went to see her, and she said, in good conscience, I can't let you leave here without a prescription for blood pressure medication. Your blood pressure is way too high, right? It had come down some. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe it was like 170 or like 90 or 100, over 100. Like, that's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Not
And it
good.
wasn't, no, and it wasn't normal for me. So she went back. She was like, this is probably menopause onset, but it doesn't change the fact that this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
This woman was amazing. She's the one that said I was in menopause, etc. But she said she couldn't help me, wanted to refer me out. Fine. I tell this story all the time, and I am dying to have this woman on. And actually, I probably will have her on.
Oh, good.
But that's another story. This woman, the separate woman on TikTok, talked about lowering blood pressure via dandelion root extract.
Oh,
And I vowed to myself that I would never take medication, but I was taking this amlodipine 5 milligrams. And I was like, I'm not taking this anymore. I stopped taking it. And because my blood pressure was still high. So I was like, I don't see the point. I thought this was going to help lower it.
yeah.
No, 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 no. And I took the dandelion root in 3 days. Blood pressure was like 120 over like 70.
Yeah.
And has been that way ever since, and sometimes goes lower. I'm just saying.
That's one thing that I wish people, um, like our grandparents, my grandma never took any type of medication, and she lived, a decent life. She lived to be, in her late 80s. There were other things, other complications, but she didn't take medication. But what did she do? She always cooked her own meals. Most of the time, everything came from not that far from the house. They walked everywhere. There was a lot of natural exercise that was just a part of their day. They're either walking to the bus or to the streetcar, or they're walking down to the grocery store or to church. Like, they're always walking. We don't do that anymore. You're in the car, you walk out of your front door, you're in the car, you drive, walk in the door. And so I think maybe things were a little bit easier way back when, because they didn't have all of these artificial things coming at them, and food looked like what it was. It looked like a potato, it looked like a carrot, and um, fat was fat. They fried in bacon grease. Like, it just was what it was. And now everything comes in a bottle, and there's a whole list of ingredients, and it's all packaged. And um, diet, I think, is definitely a huge part of it. But that's usually the last thing on the list when you start looking into what's going on with your body.
So, okay. So, yeah. And the last thing, which is actually should be the
The
very first thing
first thing.
that
What
we
do you
should be
eat?
looking
What'd
at.
you eat today?
Well, and interestingly enough, and I'm sure you can relate, I talked about this when I had Agatha on, about these shortbread cookies that I found, right? And I'm like, oh, look, I can eat these cookies because guess what? They have 3 ingredients. Great, great, great. There is such a big difference in how I move, how I feel when I eat these cookies, in a bad way.
Yeah.
Like, even not as bad as if I ate an Oreo,
Well,
right?
right.
But I still don't feel right. And I made the decision recently. I was like, you know what? I'm done. Like, I'm not doing that anymore. Because who wants, it's like
Yeah.
self-sabotage, right? Like, why do that, right? So let me ask you this, because I really want to get to this. So again, you're going back and forth with doctors, right? You're not getting any answers. So, like, we're talking years
Yeah.
now. So
Oh yeah.
you're full on symptomatic at this point,
Yes.
right? So how many years did you like? I mean, you were having full on symptoms for.
Well, it started in my early 40s, and I'm gonna be 55 next month. So I figure it's been going on 14 years. I mean, not obviously now I'm in a much different place, but wasn't always the case.
But
And
you're talking about you're talking about a decade of
yeah,
no support, no nothing. And I mean,
no,
you had your platform, but I'm saying no medical intervention, no support that way
no,
of dealing with this on your own.
yeah,
And let me and again, I applaud you for that, because again, I could not. I'm telling you, I was on the edge. Like I was like, I can't do this. And I really want to encourage everybody that we don't have to do that.
no,
You don't have to suffer. There's no, you're not getting a trophy for suffering.
you're
Like,
not. No,
like there's no, I'm saying now you know better, right? But a
now,
lot of people
yes,
still, I just want to make sure in the sound of my voice here with this, that you do not have to suffer. No, if you don't want to choose a pharmacological option, that is your choice. But there's so many other options from a nutrition perspective, from a supplement perspective.
yes.
There's so many things. You do not have to suffer and put yourself in a health crisis because of menopause symptoms.
No, you cannot be afraid to ask questions. Ask questions, and if you don't get the answer that you want, ask another question. Ask another doctor. Ask somebody. Ask a naturopath. Ask a nutritionist. But do something for yourself, because it really is. It can be a long road, and I feel we're going to get to a place in the next, hopefully, few years. It's probably going to be 5-10 years, but I think the more that you or I talk about this, and kind of share with other women, young women, older women, because women in their 60s and 70s still suffer. Still
When
suffer.
I heard this from Dr. Jessica Shepard, I was like, well, wait, what?
Yes. And it's
Like,
not right.
it's not right. There's nothing right about it. And we talked about this, and this, I said this in a video. Menopause is the one thing. There's so many things that divide us. You and I are we're completely different on the outside, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is, guess what? We walking down the same menopause road.
Same thing.
Same thing. So that should bring us together, right?
Yeah.
And because everybody who knows me knows, I don't believe in gatekeeping, and I believe sharing is caring. And if you like, the reason why I wanted to have you on, because I felt like knowing that other people that are not medical professionals and all the rest of it,
Yeah.
regular people, are going through this as well, from every corner of this country and the world. They're going through it, and they're
Go
making it
through
through.
it.
You made it through. The roughest part probably that you're going to have is behind you,
Yes.
hopefully, right? Like, I mean, I can't imagine it going back.
But I think you still have to be aware of where, the train can kind of go off the tracks a little bit, and you need to be able to pull yourself back on there and look for solutions. And don't be afraid that if you have daughters or nieces or nephews or coworkers, be the weirdo and say, hey, that's not right, you should do something about
Right,
that.
especially like you said, the mental health piece,
Yes.
right? Like, that pulling yourself up by your bootstraps does not work.
No.
Like,
Mm-mm.
you need to find community, you need to find a practitioner, you need to find something to help lift you up, because again, I think we're the last of that generation, honey. Like,
Yes.
like we're done. Like, this next generation coming, they're not built for that.
Oh no.
No, they're not built for that.
No.
Right? So, they do not have it
Because
in them.
when I think back about, and I didn't have a bad childhood, but when I think back about some of my experiences, I'm thinking, oh yeah, that
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
prepared me for a lot.
Yes, yes, we're different, right? Like there, so I think having these conversations is so important, almost ramming it down their throat to
Yeah.
understand what's coming and be prepared for that. Like take your fitness level, like take care of yourself from a fitness perspective, your nutrition, all those things are important. And I wish I would have understood this 15, 20 years ago,
And
right? Because
don't think you're always going to be, 20 years old living on a caffeine, a Starbucks, and a granola bar.
not happening.
Life does not work that way.
No, and think you're going to stay the same weight too.
Yeah, no. Mm-mm.
Right.
And just, just one more thing.
Hmm.
I think over the past couple of years, it's that elephant in the room. Like COVID didn't do anybody. That didn't leave anybody in a better place.
No.
Like I just feel that the last couple of years there have been so much like either you were on one side or another, or
Hmm.
you were isolated
Hmm.
and you were trying to do the right thing for your family,
Hmm.
and you were trying to take care of yourself. Like this has been a weird couple of years, that's for sure.
Hmm.
And
Beyond
um,
that, beyond weird.
beyond
Like,
weird.
yeah, not cool at all.
No. And
And it's
it's
not
going
made
to
the menopause
take some
journey better.
time to get through this, but in the meantime, don't sacrifice yourself for the greater good, because what do they always say? You have to put on your own oxygen mask before you can take care of the rest of the plane. And I think it's true. But we don't do that.
Women are the last to do that.
Yeah.
Like we just don't do it. And I think you're 1,000% correct. And I appreciate you saying that like COVID changed menopause, right?
Yes.
Like seriously, and propelled a lot of people into it, right? Because
Yeah.
again, all these things, and people who know me know I share that I was queen of the vaccination. Like I'm getting everything, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, and I ended up developing something else, autoimmune disease from it. So in turn, it impacted my health. That was me, though. That's not everybody.
Right.
That's me. That's what happened with me, right? I still believe in science, right? I still have a
Yes.
belief of it, but it also changed my menopause journey.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I brought that up, because it changed my menopause journey, right? And impacted that. So I'm dealing with I'm dealing with two things at one time,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Two. That the weirdness of the world. And I feel the isolation part of it was probably, I mean, aside from the horrible experiences that people have, but just being stuck in a home, in an apartment, or in a place where you're not with people is just a
It's not
bad place.
natural either, and it's not
Mm-mm.
natural. We're meant to be communal, right? And so for such a long time we couldn't be, and we're honestly became scared to be, right?
Yes.
Because nobody wanted to be in a situation. So I feel like, and then you throw menopause into that pot.
Not good.
Wowza. Like, I mean, you're talking about a powder keg, right?
Yeah.
So I think you're 100% right. And I think we need to take better care of each other.
Yes,
right?
we
And be
do.
better stewards of each other. Like, so I think that having you on and understanding what you have, this platform, Empart, that we all need to go support Holly
Oh, thank
right away.
you.
Let's run over and follow her, Empart, on Instagram,
Join
Facebook.
Empart. Join Empart.
Join Empart.
Mm-hmm.
Join Empart. And I will put it, y'all seen it, but I'm going to go ahead and tag it when I post for this live, and join her community. Yes. And then we're going to talk more about menopause,
Yeah.
right? Like solutions, because we had to get this out first. We had to do this first, right?
Yes, we
So
did.
understand that we're all on the same page. We're all in the same place. We're here to help. Sharing is caring. We're going to share our journeys, and as they unfold, because they're still unfolding.
They are.
Right? They're still unfolding. And tell us, how do we become a part of Join Empart? Because you have a whole platform. So let's tell that as for us to close.
Oh, okay. Well, start here on Instagram, go to Join Empart,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a link to the community and a link to the book, Empart, Real Stories, Real Wisdom, Real Menopause. And if you're
Oh, Holly, where's your voice? We can't hear you, Holly. I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
And our of solutions that we could come across, and that's why I felt I had to reach out to you when I first saw you, and I'm
And I
glad I
and
slid into your DMs.
and yes, you slid in there. I really appreciate you doing that, and I'm glad that you felt that you could, right? Like
Yes.
that makes me feel good because I cannot always be the most approachable person, and I'm trying to do better.
Oh my
But
gosh, that was the thing that it's funny you said that, because I just thought, oh my God, you're so you were just so I don't know. I felt like I knew you the whole time, and I was like, oh,
oh yay!
I bet
And I
she'd be open
appreciate
to
that.
this.
That's
I'm just gonna. So you have the wrong.
oh well,
You came
that
to the
makes
wrong
me feel
conclusion about
good.
yourself.
That makes me feel good. I'm gonna play that back for people who say that about me. Then thank you, thank you. Okay, so Holly, we're going to join Empart on Instagram, Facebook, wherever we want to, and you're on LinkedIn as well.
Yes.
Um, you and I are going to talk more about menopause and how we can do better, help each other, guide each other, create more community, and everything that's attached to menopause, right? Perimenopause,
Yes.
menopause, whether that's mental health, the physical, etc. We're going to get into it.
I
Yes?
love it. You betcha.
Oh, Holly, thank you so much for joining. And we need to have, you and I need to have a monthly Zoom.
I know, I think so too, because I just felt like we were talking, and I could have just kept going.
We and you know what, I would if so. Be clear, 8 o'clock gets close to my bedtime. Nine, like I'm like seriously, like 9 o'clock I'm like, okay, it's time to shut it down, and then I'm sleep before 10, so there's that.
Yeah, so am I. So don't feel bad about that.
Okay, good. April, thank you so much, and thank you for joining. My friend April, she's so lovely. That's somebody else I've known since um 17 years old.
Oh, I
They're so
love having old
supportive.
friends. I'm
It's
going to see my best friend growing up this weekend. Her daughter's having a baby shower, and Kathy and I have known each other since we were babies in the crib. So it's over 50 years. So I'm so excited
wow.
that I'm going to be able to see her this weekend.
Oh, wait, hold on really quick. Dr. Joelle just joined. She is amazing. She's somebody else we need to follow. She has Dr. Joelle